Hello, I'm Adam Newman. This is my official YouTube channel. Please subscribe and support us.
Alright, so I don't even know where to start this week with the young and the restless, because everything feels like it's spiraling at once, and not in that clean, dramatic way the show sometimes pulls off, but in that messy, slightly uncomfortable way where you're watching and thinking, wait, are we really doing this? And yes, apparently we are. So let's just get into it. Malcolm, that's the center of everything right now, and honestly it's hard to watch. The diagnosis, the urgency, the ticking clock, it all feels very real. Maybe a little too real for daytime, but also very classic Y&R at the same time. And you guys know what I mean, right? The show loves these medical crises that pull the whole family into one emotional storm. It's like a tradition at this point. But this one feels heavier. Maybe because of the history, maybe because of Neil, maybe because Lily has already been through too much loss. I don't know. It just hits different. And then we get Holden. Poor kid. I feel bad even saying it. But he was basically built up as this tiny miracle solution, and then nope, not a match, just like that. And you could almost feel the writers pulling the rug out from under us, like they were saying, you thought this would be easy? No, of course not. Nothing is ever easy here. Not in this town. Not for this family. And Lily, okay? Lily is where I start getting a little emotional, and maybe a little frustrated too, because she wants to help. She wants to fix this. You can see it all over her face in those scenes. But she can't. She literally cannot donate because of her own medical history, and that's just cruel in a very specific way. Like, the one person who would give everything can't give the one thing that matters. And maybe I'm being dramatic, but it feels like the show is piling guilt on her. Again, always Lily, right? But then we move into that next layer, and this is where things start getting uncomfortable. Because now it's not just about finding a donor. It's about who could be the donor. And yeah, you already know where this is going, Kane. And honestly, when I first started thinking about Kane being the match, I kind of rolled my eyes. Like, really, that convenient, that's so why? But then I sat with it for a second and thought, okay, no, this actually tracks. Because this show loves emotional leverage. Loves it. And Kane being the one person who can save Malcolm while also having this unresolved, messy, emotional history with Lily. That's not just drama. That's weaponized drama. And here's where I start going back and forth. Because part of me wants to believe Kane would just step up. No conditions. No games. Just do the right thing. And maybe that's still possible. Maybe I'm being too harsh on him. But then I remember everything. The past. The way he hovers around Lily. The way he never fully lets go. The way he always seems to be waiting for an opening. And suddenly it doesn't feel so clean anymore. So imagine this, and I know we're all already imagining it because the show is basically pointing us there with a flashing neon sign. Malcolm's condition gets worse. Time is running out. Maddie and Charlie, not matches. Of course not. That would be too simple. And Lily is breaking down, quietly. And that way she does where she tries to hold it together until she just can't anymore. And then Kane walks in. And I can see the scene so clearly it's almost frustrating. Crimson lights, same table, same lighting. He sits down, calm, maybe a little too calm, and tells her he got tested. And he's a match. Just like that. Drops it like a bomb. And Lily, she would crumble. Relief, shock, gratitude, all at once. And for a second, just a second, everything would feel okay again. Because Malcolm could be saved. There's hope again. Real hope. But then comes the part that makes me uneasy. Because what does Kane do with that power? And I keep going back and forth on this, because there are two versions of this story, and I honestly don't know which one the writers are going to choose. The subtle version, and the not subtle version. The subtle one is almost worse, if you think about it. He donates. He saves Malcolm. He becomes the hero. Everyone praises him, thanks him, maybe even starts seeing him differently again. And then slowly, quietly, he starts reminding Lily of what he did. Not in a direct way, not like you or me, but in those little comments, those looks, those moments where the debt is just there. Hanging in the air, unspoken but impossible to ignore. And that kind of emotional pressure, that sticks. that lingers, that changes how Lily feels, how she reacts, how she moves forward. And suddenly her choices aren't really choices anymore. But then there's the other version, the blunt one, the one where Kane just says it, straight out. I'll donate if you give me another chance. And I don't know about you guys, but that makes my skin crawl a little, because at that point, it's not love. It's not even desperation. It's control. It's turning a life or death situation into a negotiation. And okay, maybe I'm being too dramatic. Maybe the show won't go that far, but also would it really surprise anyone if it did? Because let's be real here, this is exactly the kind of moral gray area Wayner likes to play in. They love putting characters in impossible positions and then watching them break. And Lily, she's the perfect character for that kind of story. Strong, loyal, emotional, and deeply tied to her family. If anyone would feel obligated, it's her. And I keep thinking about the fans too, because I've already seen the reactions starting online. Some people are rooting for Kane, saying this could be his redemption. Others are calling it out for what it looks like, manipulation dressed up as sacrifice. And honestly, I'm somewhere in the middle, which is annoying. I kind of wish I had a clearer opinion, but I don't. Because part of me wants to see Kane do something genuinely selfless. Just once, no strings attached. Just be better. But another part of me thinks the show isn't interested in that kind of clean redemption. Not right now, not with this setup. And then there's Malcolm himself, almost getting lost in all of this, which feels wrong because he's the one fighting for his life. But that's kind of the point too, isn't it? His illness is becoming the center of a much bigger emotional and psychological conflict, and that's both compelling and a little uncomfortable to watch. So where does this go next? Honestly, I don't think this ends well. Not cleanly, anyway. Even if Malcolm survives, even if the transplant works, the emotional fallout from how it happens, that's going to stick. That's going to change relationships, maybe permanently. And I keep asking myself, what were the writers thinking here? Is this about love, redemption, sacrifice, or is it about control, guilt, and power? Maybe it's all of it. Maybe that's the point. Or maybe I'm overthinking it. Wouldn't be the first time, but still something about this storyline feels like it's building toward a moment that's going to divide fans hard. Like, really hard. And I guess we'll just have to wait and see which version of Kane shows up when it matters most. Because right now, I'm not sure even he knows.